Alrighty, folks. We are getting ready to do the final activity for our Fusion receivables. And just want to let you know that every customer in Fusion receivables is going to have to be associated with a profile class. I'm going to go out there, do a demonstration. I understand that there might be multiple folks that are using the same database instance at the same time. So please, 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 I think it's okay for you guys to do this particular lab. Just make sure that you're choosing a unique identifier here. Oracle Fusion requires unique header records, and so just be careful about the way you're going to set up your record, your basic record. So I'm getting ready to do the page PDF 208, and what we're getting ready to do is that we're going to go out there and we're going to set up a profile class based upon a financial strategy. We're basically going to say we're dealing with a new customer and they really don't have a record. When I'm talking about a record, I'm talking about a history with us in doing business with us. So we're going out there, we're going to identify Jim Jones is going to be the collections manager that's going to oversee it. We are going to give them payment terms of 30 nets, so I think that's pretty generous. We give them grace days, and then if they pay by lockbox, we're going over there and we're telling the system how to match by the receipts and the auto match and all this information that goes into what is known as a profile class. So let me go ahead and demo this. And so I'm going over into our database. I'm underneath our particular project ID, and I am under receivables, and therefore I'm in define the customer. And now what I need to do is I need to go out there and create a manageable receivables customer class. Now here's a good question that you may be asking yourself. Okay, Ivy just said that every customer must be associated with a profile class. Okay, good, good, good. We know that when we have a step in this implementation, they're going to go out there and they're going to indicate whether or not it's a mandatory step by the asterisk. What Oracle Fusion does is that they've got at least one profile class that's set up as a default. So by default, we've got the seeded item out there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and populate anything else. Now, if you decide that a strategy involving a profile class is not appropriate for you guys, then that's okay too. So let's just get in here. Let me go out here and I want to create a unique profile class. Okay. So over in here, this is where we go ahead and we put into the system what's going to be your profile class name. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say this is going to be 33 new. I'm going to do the description. I indicate whether or not it's active or not. I go out there and I'm going to go ahead and identify the collector. All right. And we're going to see when we get into advanced collections how we can go ahead and identify the collector over there. And they want you to go out there and use Jim Jones. There we go. We're also going to go out there and identify the credit classification, high risk, low risk, new customer, once again, credit classification. That's going to be part of the philosophy of management. We're going to go out there and indicate that this is a new customer. Now we've got what is known as a tolerance here. If we decide that we're going to go out there and try to automate some of the credit checking that's available over in the Do, we can go out there and we're going to say, you know what, they have a credit limit and we're going to let them exceed that credit limit and we can identify a tolerance there. If we wanted to go ahead and activate balance forward billing, we would go ahead and activate it at this particular level. Down here, this is where I'm going to go out there and identify my payment terms. And they want you to go out there and select 30 net. We indicate whether or not a discount is allowed. Now, whether or not I'm able to override the terms, my discount terms at the time that we're doing receipt application. And then we can go out there and we're going to say, okay, we've told them that they can go out there, do 210, net 30. And you know what happens if it shows up like on the 12th of the month? Or 12 days after the fact. So this is going to be our grace period. Now, the thing of it is that You know, you're probably looking at this and you're going like, well, if our payment terms are net 30, why do we need to set up a discount? In actuality, probably the better choice in the list would be to have gone out there and selected 210 net 30. Okay, and that makes better sense for what we're trying to do. Okay, now let me go ahead and add my grace days. All right, if they're going to pay us by lockbox, okay, which is a very popular way of processing payments, then we need to go out there and we're going to tell the system, okay, we got to do the receipt matching. All right, and this also may also with my automatic receipts, and we're going to go out there and we're going to say, what do we want to go ahead and match this up against? And we're going to say transaction number, yay. Auto cash rule set, if we do lockbox, that is that's one of your options on how we do a application. And then we go out there and we're going to look at our strategies, clear the account, clear past due invoices. We want to do what is known as an invoice match. And what they're going to have you do is that they're going to have you go out there and work with what is known as the oldest transaction first. If we are having to deal with exceptions, what's going to be our strategy involving exceptions? And so once again, we're going to basically say we're going to do a default. Remember, my exceptions are what happens if we're dealing with lockbox and we've got a payment that's greater than what the transaction invoice is for. How do we manage that? What do we do with it when it's less? And then what we can do, remember we were talking about the auto apply. The auto apply is going to go out there and it's going to look at these auto match rule sets. This is where you put in your percentages. And we're going to go out there and we're just going to go out there and use the default one. Now, remainder, this is another concept of what happens if we have money left over, what do we do with it? Now, theoretically, the application exception rule set is going to handle that particular feature, but you know what? If you want to put in a remainder rule set, you can go out there and do that as well. All right. Now, once I've got that established, and that's all we're going to do, one thing I do want to point out, let me go over here to the other tab for the credit limits and the late charges. This is where we go out there and we're going to say, you know what, are we going to go out there, if they're really late in paying us, do we want to go ahead and charge them interest? Okay, they're using our money, we're basically financing them, so most companies will go out there and turn this on. And then we're going to go out there and we're going to identify any of our currency settings that we want to go out there and work with. And then in our currency settings, we go out there and we're going to identify what kind of credit limits do we have when we're working with a particular currency. So I just want to talk a little bit about that final tab. So let me go ahead and hit the save and close. Yay, yay, yay. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the done. And we are done. All right, now we're just done with that particular aspect of the lab. What they want us to do is that they want us to go out there and find a particular customer, and then what's going to happen is that we're going to look at their account, and we're going to go out there and we're going to tell the system that we want to go ahead and make a correction on their record, and then the lab is going to have you go out there and substitute the current profile class with the profile class that you just created. Now, if we're creating this customer from scratch, then that would be one of our fields that we would be asked to supply up front. Okay, so I needed to go out there and do a search parameter. We're looking for their ID, their account description, their organization name, and what we're going to do is that we're going to put into the account field, alrighty, in the account number field, we're going to put in this particular account. It's going to be 10040. Let me go ahead and do a search. Right. So the system brought up our data. We can see that this is Hillman and Associates. And what they're going to have me do is that they're going to have me come down into the account section. And just a little bit about this. The first record you see there is the party record. Second record is going to be the customer record. And then this is their address level. And then from the address level, we can go ahead and drill down to what is their business purpose. But for this particular lab, all we're doing is that we're just going to go out there and we want to get in and review their data at what is known as at the account level, the customer account level. Okay, and we're waiting for the system. Let me see if I need to click a little bit harder to activate this. Okay, finally. All right, so we're finally there. Okay. So this record, we see the organization, here's the account information, and these are the payment details associated with this account information. We can go out there and we can see what their primary receipt method is. We can see it's credit card. We can go out there, look at the communication. We can go out there, look for, see if there's any relationships. Do they have the ability of going out there and they can pay for the benefit of another client, and can that other customer or other client pay for their benefit? But what we're doing here is that we're coming down here to my profile history. I'm in here. Okay, so we see that their profile class is, as you can see, it's called excellent. But down in here, what we can do is that we can change these profile classes, because you know what, over time, we've seen several good companies over the years to go out there and say, you know what, their creditworthiness has degenerated over time due to the bad economic turnarounds that we're currently encountering now. So let me go out there, indicate that I want to create the correct the record. Alrighty, and then once I've got that established, let's go out there. I want to go ahead and correct the record. It should be coming over in here. And it should be opening up a field for me to go out there. Here we go, right down here. Here's your profile history. I say correct the record. The system's going to go, okay, what do you need to correct? Because there's a lot of data in there associated with your profile class. And all you want to do is you're just going to come down here and you're going to say, okay, let me go ahead and swap this out. Then once I've got that established, what I'm going to do, and it's going to say, if you change the profile class, all values will be reset to the new data that we have. And it's asking me, are you sure you really want to do this? I'm going to go out there and say yes. And then I'm going to go out there and now we can do save and close. So that completes all of the labs that we were working with in our Fusion Receivables chapter. And so we're going to go ahead and proceed with our information involving Oracle Fusion payments for the funds capturing.